Hi, this is lesson 23 in our 26 lesson course entitled Leadership at the Points of Contact. In these last 4 lessons, I want to share with you what I see as characteristics of how success is achieved and sustained in the real world. And I'm talking both about individual success, your success, for example, as a leader in the roles we've described, or the success of your organization as a whole. Over the preceding 22 lessons, we've looked at 3 key roles that leaders play. The first thing that effective leaders do is consciously create cultures that reinforce and support behavior essential to organizational success. We refer to those as hero-friendly cultures. The second thing that leaders do is they expand and enhance employee engagement. We've talked about specific things you can do to broaden your employees' participation in crucial processes, key among those process improvement. And by doing so, at the same time, you will be deepening their commitment to the success of your organization. Finally, the third role we said for leaders is to facilitate continuous process improvement. I refer to that as the relentless search for better ways. So what we're going to be looking at here are how you can expect your efforts with regard to those 3 activities or any others that you embark on, how you can expect your efforts to pay off. And the first characteristic is progressively. When we say that success is achieved progressively, what we mean is first, it occurs over time, not overnight. Now think about that for a minute. How many of the truly worthwhile accomplishments that you have had in your life have occurred quickly or instantly? And my guess is the answer is few of those. Winning in the real world is a process. It's not an event. And one of the things we know for certainty is that the new wears off most processes long before they produce the results for which they were begun. Recall the happily ever after cycle when we talked about that. New wears off 45 minutes to 6 weeks after we begin. And when the new wears off, what we see is some variation on blaming and wallowing and quitting and waiting and wishing and hoping, but essentially people discontinue their efforts. What I'm telling you is that you and your associates will achieve the things you set out to achieve progressively. What that means is you've got to persevere beyond the point at which the new wears off the processes. Let me give you an example, a real-world example of this phenomenon, new wearing off and processes being abandoned prematurely. An example of something that you can see for yourself. In most communities in America today, we have what are called consignment stores. You're familiar with this. This is where someone will rent a storefront and then invite other members of the community who have products that they no longer need or want to bring those products, and this proprietor will sell on consignment those products and keep a percentage for himself or herself. Here's what you'll find, and I invite you to wander around your downtown area or areas where you might find one of these consignment stores. Go in and look around and see if this isn't true. What you're going to find in most of these stores are real good deals on slightly used fitness equipment. Now think about this for a minute. At some point in the past, someone decided they were going to get fit. And so they went out and they bought themselves, let's say, a treadmill. Now, if they could afford to buy a treadmill, they probably also purchased some sort of color-coordinated workout costume, high-dollar shoes. They were ready to go. They were going to get fit, and they plugged it in, got suited up, mounted that treadmill, and 45 minutes to 6 weeks later, what happened? To say the new wore off would be an understatement. And now that treadmill resides in the consignment store where you can get it for a song. The point is what? The point is they abandoned the process long before the process produced the results for which they began it, and I am absolutely convinced that failure to acknowledge the progressive characteristic is one of the reasons so many institutional organizational processes are abandoned prematurely before they have the opportunity to produce results. Let's look at the action items for today's lesson. In thinking back on your experiences with your current or other organizations, can you think of processes that were initiated but that never produced the results expected? My guess is that the answer is resounding, yeah, we can. Number two, while some of them probably proved ineffective, remember, nobody's immune to having bad ideas, are there others that just seem to fade away? Finally, what impact have those that faded away had on your responses to other processes or initiatives? What impact did they have on others' responses? How would that phenomenon impact your employees' willingness to participate actively in future collaborative processes? These action items, like the action items in the lessons that have preceded this one, are keys to the learning potential that the course offers. I encourage you to work through these action items, and we'll pick up there with the next lesson.